Thank you, Ray Olson, and good afternoon, everyone. For today's broadcast, I want to invite you to join us on the network broadcast from this plain city of Omaha. And for that, we're going to get the cue in just a moment from George Thomas Folster at Guam.
This is George Thomas Folster reporting from Fleet Headquarters on Guam. 7 task forces of B-29s of the 20th Air Force left the Marianas Base today to strike in the early morning darkness of the 29th of July at 6 Japanese cities and an oil refinery on the island of Honshu. Major General Curtis LeMay is making good his promise, and in record time. The 6 cities were among the 11, upon which warning leaflets were dropped by B-29s only 24 hours ago. It was the first time that more than 4 Japanese cities had been attacked on a single date. War correspondent Ray Clark is flying in one of the B-29s, the city of Omaha. So, for an eyewitness account, we take you to Ray Clark over the target at this moment.
This is Ray Clark on the flight deck of the Super Fortress city of Omaha, almost ready to head in on the bomb run on the city of Ogaki, Japan. Yesterday, we told the Japanese that we were coming in an unprecedented warning to evacuate 11 specific cities. We are approaching one of them now at a speed of 3 or 4 miles a minute, and will be over it very shortly, making the first direct broadcast of an actual bomb run. Ahead of us through the darkness, for it's now about 2:30 over Japan, ahead of us through that darkness, we can see at this hour the 2 targets which are already on fire. One of them is the one toward which we are heading at this very moment. That's the town of Ogaki. The other one, which was evidently hit earlier by other B-29s, is the town of Ichinomiya. The 2 towns are both very distinctly visible by the huge fires that are now burning. All of the work of the thousands of people involved in this particular mission, all of the work of the men and women in the Martin, Nebraska plant where this city of Omaha was built, of those who made the bombs, of those the ground crews and maintenance men who keep the plane in order, those who keep the supplies flowing, are about to come to the climax of their work in the dropping of something like 6 tons of incendiary bombs on the target from this one plane alone. You can see from here, we are still a few miles off from the target and over the Lake Biwa, which is west of our target. We are still several miles from that target and just about now getting ready to go in on the final bomb run. That bomb run will take place in a matter of minutes, and in a matter of minutes, those bombs will be over the target. The Japanese might have expected them from our warnings. Whether they did or not, they are coming at the Japs. Perhaps you can picture the scene or imagine the scene inside one of these B-29s on the bomb run. All around me, and there are some 6 or 7 men of the crew visible right from this spot on the flight deck. All around me there is a tense earnestness that is impossible to escape. Every man is lined up with his particular job. He knows that these next few moments are the moments for which this entire bombing run or mission is made. Each of them knows that this is the climax, and this is where the work of others, thousands of them all over the United States and other thousands all over the Pacific, this is where that work pays off. Beside me as I speak is Major McClellan, Major Howard McClellan, who comes from Buchanan, Michigan. His one job right now as plane commander is to see that this plane goes directly over that target. He's peering very intently, and you can see by that grim line of his bearded jaw that he cannot think or see anything else in the world except this one bomb run which is coming up right now. We're on the bomb run now, and it will be a matter of a very few minutes before we're over that target. To my right is the pilot. The pilot is Lieutenant Glenn Jensen, who comes from over in Manning, Iowa. His job, too, his interest is centered and focused upon this one big moment. Up in the front, just a couple of feet ahead of me, is the bombardier. He's Bill Caldwell. He's a Georgian, a soft-spoken Georgian. And this, above all others, is his moment. This moment when the plane goes over the target. He's very intently bending down over his instrument now in that bomb window. In just a very short time, we shall hear the signal that the bomb bay doors are open. At the present time, we are still a matter of a couple of miles, perhaps 3 miles from the target, maybe 4. It's a very short time before this Japanese city will be even further ablaze. Looking around outside now, we can see more clearly than ever the outline of that city. It's a clear night, a moonlit night. A night probably the best for observation of one of these flights that the pilots have had in many a moon. Ahead of us now is a rather large city. They tell us it's something like 50 or 60,000 people. But ahead of us, the great outline. And we've watched this city as it started in pure darkness without a bomb on it, as the very first plane went over that city, lighting up one little spot, a little pinpoint in this city at Ogaki. Then as further planes went on ahead, and we can see very dimly some of them now leading on ahead of us on over that target. This is a tense moment for everybody. There is no one who can think of anything else but the one thing, the one job that's coming up very soon. The bombardier has now taken over the complete control of this ship. He's guiding it by his instrument, the plane commander sitting intently and doing actually nothing but waiting, because now the ship is in the hands of that bombardier. We are well within sight of this town now, this town of Ogaki. It's a huge mass of flame and smoke at the moment. The pillars are coming up around, and we can see some of the shadows of other planes above it. And every once in a while, a huge flash that lights up the entire area, indicating something more than just buildings burning. Perhaps some kind of ammunition is burning. All now is centered on this work of the bombardier. We're approaching even closer toward the city, but it still seems like an eternity, this long bomb run. Actually a matter of a few minutes' time, and yet each man so intent upon this one big payoff, this one job that has to be done, that it seems like hours. It's the pilot, it's the bombardier's plane at this moment. It's his plane for the remaining seconds or perhaps minutes, and it seems like hours still until that big job is done. And Bill Caldwell is bending dimly over those instruments right now in the city of Omaha, directing it toward that target. His is the one job that counts now. Adjustment of those little controls that will move the plane just a slight trifle toward the right or toward the left. And it seems to be feeling its way almost directly toward that target. The city is plainly lighted up now, and it's all a mass of flames and smoke rising up from it. There are probably many areas of this city which yet haven't been touched. There are many planes behind us which will be going in toward those industrial targets and those war vital parts of the Japanese military machine. In this cockpit of this plane, it's pitch dark. There's no light except just the faint green light on that instrument panel for the plane commander and for the co-pilot. The bombardier is still guiding. A moment ago I said it was a couple of miles toward that target, but now I'm sure it must have been 10 at least, because we are still not quite over that target. There are a few minutes of the bomb run. These few minutes while I've been speaking have seemed to hold a very definite tenseness for everybody on this plane, as every member of the crew just like one like myself who has been on his first bomb run at this time. Every member of the crew is... Bomb doors are now open. That means that in a very, very brief time, we're going to hear that little bombs away. We're all waiting and waiting tensely on this plane. Even back there in the rear end of the plane, there too, waiting for that signal. Just a very short distance, some 2 or 3 miles above the city of Ogaki. But I see over the head of the bombardier, much more plainly, the individual buildings are lighted up. The bombardier still intently bending over those instruments. A dozen other bomb loads from the other planes ahead of us are starting up new fires each instant. And still, this entire crew waits. And still, the bombardier guides it toward the individual target, which is his job tonight. This has been an exciting time without any notice of flak. I don't believe there's been any flak. Has there been some flak coming up? Pardon?
Searchlights and flags.
Searchlights are now lighting up. Oh, yes, I see. And lighting up rather brightly. Some flak coming up, although it doesn't present that black picture ahead of us that has been described at times. We see some of the flashes of that flak coming up, however. And, of course, the bombardier's job is to guide it right over that target, regardless of whether there is any flak or not. We are now almost over that city. I can't imagine that there's any more distance left to go, for it seems like so much time has been spent on this individual bomb run of a few miles from that lake out to the city of Ogaki. Expecting any moment to hear the bombs away signal, and the bombardier is now calling off the particular degrees that yet have to be traversed before the bombs go down. A few more degrees, and the bombs away signal will come. Everybody waiting, still waiting tensely for this job to be done. Waiting for that signal from the bombardier. His work is calm, his work is very he says that's about all. Bombs away, there they go, and a slight lift of the plane as we feel those bombs leave us. Of course, we are now directly above that target. We cannot tell exactly what happened from those individual bombs. We can see from what has happened to the others that the bombs did their destruction. Bombs away, that's the signal. It's Bill's signal that Japan, they're coming down to you. Never before have we warned the people of Japanese cities that we were coming. This time we did. And, of course, it was very evident that while there were some flak coming up, there was nothing that Japan could do to stop this bombing raid. This and other cities, a very important raid tonight. Not only on Ogaki were some 60 or 70 or 80 planes hit, but also on the other cities, 3 or 4 other cities of the island. There may perhaps be the greatest bomb load over Japan tonight that the B-29s have ever sent. Also important because it means to Japan, well, just imagine what it would mean. That Americans are able to warn the Japs we're coming, are able to tell them we're coming, and still there is nothing those military leaders can do about it. This is Ray Clark speaking from the flight deck of a B-29 City of Omaha over the target of Ogaki, and now leaving that target for home. I return you to San Francisco.